This is Just Blaze.
Young Guru.
You were rocking with the best, and that is Hard Knock TV. All right?
Now cut for me, mommy, up. Just cut for me, mommy. Just Blaze. Okay, yeah, free, okay.
Watching all the pieces come together,
Right.
you can see like, all right, we're on to something now. Like we have the beats, we have the ears.
I think that was the perfect trifecta in terms of like me, you, Hop in the studio.
Yeah.
Right? Then you got Lenny and G in the office.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you got other people that's running around town. Like everybody was in their proper element.
Right.
I think, you know, as to what it was in terms of us just being in there making records every day, and then, you know, people in the office handling what they need to handle. Because I think people miss a lot of that.
Definitely.
They like, I got a fresh record, but it's like, yo, we had Lenny and G and, you know what I'm saying, and Dame too at that time,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, arguing for us, putting records in the right place, you know, and granted, that system at the time was just so perfect in terms of the way that it ran.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't think an era like that could exist now for a lot of reasons. A, financially, an era like that couldn't exist now. Because then you gotta remember, at the time, Def Jam was paying for Baseline to be booked 24/7.
Right. They did it about a year. I think 6 month period.
Every 6 months, Baseline got a check to stay open 24/7, whatever, you know. So it's like, and no label's gonna do that now ever again.
But to me, I think that's the hip hop example of your Stax records, your Motown records, those
early Bad Boy,
Bad Boy, or even Death Row, or you know, you can just those conglomerates that made great music where it was a relatively small amount of people, but all concentrated in one area. I think the great thing was that people kind of knew that either me, you, somebody was going to be. Baseline never closed.
It never closed.
You could just.
I came from really show up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, I came from the club and I got a vibe and we're already there. You know, even if we're not specifically working on something we did or, you know, whatever it was, or just the vibe of what we had and the way that it ran. Even when people in the morning would leave, like I'd still be there. You might have gone record shopping at A1 or something like that. You know, people just come and then the producers know that we're there. So if I make the fresh beat, I'm putting it on CD, I'm running the bass line, just at least play it. And I think that's where the Keep It Real Wednesdays, you know, came from.
Oh my God, so Keep It Real Wednesdays was this thing we used to do, right? There was one producer who I will not name, who came through and played Jay a bunch of beats on from a DAT. We used to use these things called DATs, which were little small tapes, and they were digital tapes. And comes through, plays a bunch of beats, and Jay calls me, like trying to get me tight, like, yo, he just came through and played like 20 joints. He might just do the whole album. Like, you might just want to go do something else. Like, you better go make something crazy. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. So then I go to the studio the next day. I find the DAT. I still have this DAT to this day, actually. Put it in the player, and I'm like, these beats really aren't that good. But what is he hearing? They're really not that good. And then, so Jay comes in and he's like, so you heard it? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, crazy, right? And I was like, to be honest, I don't hear it. So then we sat and we listened to it again. And he was like, yo, these aren't that good. What was that? And then, but then what it was we were talking about it and we were like, yo, when you listen to things, everything sounds good loud. If you playing things, if you got a $60,000 Augsburger system with four 18-inch drivers and 220-inch subwoofers, everything is going to sound good. Once we listened to it low, he was like, yo, my bad. And I'm like, it's all good. But then from that came this thing called Keep It Real Wednesdays, where every producer was gonna come play beats for anybody in Rocafella, whether it was for Jay, Free, Bleak, Cam and them, whoever it was. You had to play them on a boombox.
In the front lounge.
In the lounge, at the pool table, and they made T-shirts that said, "I survived Keep It Real Wednesday."
Now this is your favorite. I make $50,000 per beat producer, all the way down to you can walk off the street and play beats. I think that was the best thing about Keep It Real Wednesday is because it's basically saying to any producer like, yo, I don't care who you are, you can come in here now. Granted that you can do this, you will get laughed out of the building if your beat is whack.
Yes.
If your beat is whack, you will get, if it's cool, dudes would be like, yo, that's okay, you know what I'm saying? And they wouldn't laugh, but if it's whack, you're getting laughed out. Some of your favorite producers got laughed out on Keep It Real Wednesday, but it was a day that was set up to be like, look, there is no you have to keep it real. Like it developed into this great thing that we found a whole bunch of beats and producers and people like that through this Keep It
Just
Real
randomly,
Wednesday.
yeah. And if you got through, you got the shirt. You got the I Survived Keep It Real Wednesday shirt.
Yeah.
And you got a beat on somebody's album.
Yeah.
But the bad part about it, well, not bad, but the funny part about it was like for me, because Dame was always the loudest mouth in the room. But he's not a producer. Dame was a genius in his own right in terms of his marketing and his diligence and the way he pursued things, but he wasn't really a music guy. So he always used to defer to me and be like, and he's just being an asshole because that's just how he is. Like, yo, Just, is this hot? Right in front of the dude while he's playing his beat. And I'm like, why are you putting me in this position? Is it hot? And if it was whack, I would never come out and just be like, yo, it's whack, but I would just be like, it's not really that good, you know, or it's all right. But that actually put me at odds with a lot of other producers because Dame and sometimes Jay, just to mess with me, would put me in that position because I was their in-house guy.
Right.
So it was almost like a thing where you had to get past the artist, but then they would make, like, I was, in some of those nights, I was the final call, like, is this dope or not? You're the music guy.
So did you feel like, okay, because to me, I thought to a certain degree that you deserved to be in the B room. You know, a lot of people used to say that to me, you know, again, I won't say no names, but a lot of people used to say that to me, like, come on, Goo, if you gave me the B room all day, and you know what I'm saying, I get to go do, I was like, yo, but son, earn that. You know what I mean? To a certain degree, like the music that he gave them, you know, earn that. Like he didn't just get that, you know, off the top.
I don't know, yeah.
Right? So to me, I thought that was a big thing or an inspiration to the other people.
Right.
The fact that you was in the B room all day. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it was, and the funny thing is, you know, a lot of people would think that happened overnight, but if you go back and like look at a Mills first album or her only album, you go back and look at a Mills album. My name is all over that album, not for producing, but for engineering. Like, I recorded that whole album, did all the rough mixes that dictated what the mixes would sound like, co-produced records on there that I didn't get credit for, just to help such and such have a better record.
Right.
And all the while I'm sending beats to Jade, I'm sending beats to Jada, and sending beats, you know, to the office. And it was kind of like a 1.5 year hazing process.
Right.
Before
There is no nepotism. You know how many beats I've sent to Jay? And people be like, yo, you can't just get. I'm like, yo, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
It has to fit the project that we're doing.
Yeah, and it was like a 1.5 year hazing process where I would just get messages, because I didn't know Jay like that personally yet. The whole time I was working with a mill and doing everything else, I'd never met Jay. And I would just get messages relayed back from G or Hip or Lenny, like, it would always be real short. Nice music, drums whack. Like just real short messages. And I dealt with 1.5 years of that, and it wasn't until I did this record, I don't know if you remember Bathgate, they used to be signed to
I remember
Virgin.
Bathgate.
So Bath had a record that me and him did that we were gonna put a mill on for his album.
Okay.
Jay hears the record and pulls OGJ move, I need that record. And we're gonna put it on the Mills album, and Bath can still get his publishing because he wrote the hook,
Right.
but we're taking that record. And it wasn't until then, and I still hadn't met Jay. Jay not mailed his verse, but did his verse somewhere else and sent us back to 2 Inch.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until then where Jay actually personally reached out, like, bring some beats by tomorrow.
Right.
By the office.
So, I guess really getting into the nook and cranny, because I used to always ask this, was there a way that because you would sit in the B room and make a bunch of beats,
Right.
was there a way that you would, in your mind, divvy out those beats to the different artists? Because every 5 minutes, people don't understand how hectic that was, but every 10 minutes, or I would at least sometimes be like, yo, can y'all just let this dude just make music, right? If you barely turned it up, everybody's gonna stick there, I need that from literally 10 different artists in a day. So how would you handle, you know, this is for Jay, this is for Cam, this is for Bleak, this is for...
It was rough at first. It was rough trying to navigate through that because, like you said, you have all these artists who all are talented and all want this music, but you know, it doesn't come from an infinite place. I can only make so many records in a day, and out of so many records I can make in a day, only certain ones are going to be that good to be worth it. So, I mean, there was definitely times where there were, you know, people always used, like the big thing they always used to say, accuse me of was, oh, you're holding all these beats for Jay. I'm like, or they'll come like, what you got? I don't have anything yet. You lying, you made 5 beats, you're just giving them all to Jay. And I'm like, no, I just don't have anything yet. Nothing that I want to play.
And I used to tell dudes, I'd be like, yo, you come in here at 5 in the afternoon.
Right.
Like it would really be more advantageous to you to wait and come here at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when he's really cooking.
Right.
Like, but nobody used to see that until they actually spent the night.
Exactly.
Or like that was my 3 o'clock in the morning was my like, okay, let me go in the B room and just watch Just Make a Beat time. You know what I mean? When it kind of the world with the two-way thing died down and the telephone call died down.
Yeah, once everything got quiet, you could actually focus on work. There were a couple of times where like originally, I'll tell you this, like Welcome to New York City was actually for Philadelphia Freeway.
Right.
But I remember Cam walked in that day and was like, yo, they got Jay to say yes to doing a record with me, like, but we gotta do it today. Like, I need something right now. And I'm like, all I had was this Freeway record, but I'm like, I mean, if that's the situation, you probably got the opportunity, you've been waiting for to do a record with Jay, boom, here you go.
With that record, were you purposely trying to move away from sampling with that? Because I think that was the first time where I actually sat in the room and was like, oh, Just is nice on the keyboard too. Like people don't realize Welcome to New York City is no samples, all keyboard beats. Yeah. I kind of sat there like, okay, you know, this dude knows chords and knows progression and knows, you know, it's more than just sampling.
I mean, for me with that song, it was more about, I wanted to actually make something that sounded and felt like a sample from the 80s without it actually being one.
Okay.
And, you know, it was, and
New York was before or after Rock the Mic?
After.
It was after Rock the Mic, right?
We did Rock the Mic in Miami.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, and we did Welcome to New York City.
We absolutely did Rock the Mic in Miami. How could we skip the Miami trip?
Oh my God.
There's so many stories from Miami.
I mean, we'll never be able to tell all these stories.
Yeah, okay, but first of all, when we go down to Miami, so the whole setup is that Bleek's brother got into an accident on one of those little scooters, right? And he like really like split his head open. But being family, it was like, okay, we're gonna move everything down to Miami, right? And work out of Miami. So we went to Circle House for a month. And I remember specifically like, okay, I'm not living with any of these artists, so just let's me and you share the condo, right? So we was in there every day, but it was like that case in point where I think that was supposed to be a Beans.
It was supposed to be a Beans and Bleak album. After Who Want What, they kept saying they want to do a Beans and Bleak album.
Right.
So this was gonna be the trip we were gonna do that album, and for whatever reason, it just didn't sync up, you know, for a lot of different reasons.
I think Beans is a late dude. Yeah. And Bleak is a super early dude.
Yeah. And it was hard to get them in the studio.
They was going to the strip club together, but they wasn't making
records together. So that trip actually was what formed the core of the State Property album.
Absolutely.
And there was one night.
I remember that. Okay, not to cut you off. I remember that night because Free started like, yo, Just, we've been down here for these many days.
Right.
Can I get something?
Right.
And y'all was about to dip out. So you was just real quick, like,
dude, on the ASRX.
It was like 2 seconds.
It wasn't even on the MP, it was on the ASRX. Like, I'm like, all right, hold on. Boom, here you go. I'm going to sleep.
And he did, y'all left, Free recorded that night, and he did his 2 verses. Yep. The very first version of that record, Free's verses are back to back.
And then
I remember
the dudes,
but the next day, they had their hotel rooms were on the bottom floor. Yep. So we all went out by the pool.
Yep.
And Free just started blasting the record from his room.
Yep.
And then that's when Beans was like, yo, I gotta get on this.
And Sparks got taken off. And ever since then, Sparks hated me because he felt like I had an outfit. And I'm like, I have no beef with you. I have no beef with you. I have no issue with you. It's just, I'm working. Yeah. And it wasn't me that decided to pull you off the record. Your boss, Beans, said, I'm jumping on. Like, you're coming off. Like, how do I owe you something from that equation? But this actually, I think the footage got pulled off the internet, or Choke might have posted it, but there's actually a ton of footage of Sparks yelling and arguing in the studio with me because he felt like I just didn't like him. And I'm like, no, A, you're not the priority, you're not the focus right now. Right. We're working on 4 albums at once. And on top of that, you're not actually signed. So if I do a record with you, it doesn't count towards anything because we have no outlet for it. You don't have a deal. You were signed, or you will be signed eventually to the Rocafella production company. Right. It doesn't mean that Def Jam is taking you on as an artist. Yeah, but like I said, Miami, we can talk about Miami for days.